What's going on, people? It's Lex, your friendly philosopher and spiritual instigator. Now, after I posted the last video about space being fake, the one where Eddie Bravo goes on a tear on the Joe Rogan Experience on the Fight Companion, I believe, the one where he goes on a tear about space being fake and conspiracies of flat earth and all of that, it got me thinking after reading some of the comments. It got me thinking about the philosophical concept of solipsism and really just how far we can go with our doubting. And to be clear, we can go pretty far without being irrational or illogical. Really, further than most anyone would imagine. When people say space is fake or the earth is flat or clearly the earth is round and space is a reality, either one, we don't really know. We don't know until we see directly for ourselves, until we go into space or until we determine the topological structure, the geometric structure of the planet Earth. But even when you check, even when you see for yourself, you can still doubt your own experience. As a matter of fact, I think you should doubt your experience, if you're a thinking person. Now, clearly, the same method that we would use to determine that the Earth is a sphere is roughly the same method that we have used to determine that the universe is flat on large scales. But we can always doubt those measurements and those direct experiences. If you believe space is a reality, that would mean that there is about a 1% curvature to the observable universe. The one that we experience is pretty much flat, almost perfectly flat. Or it could simply mean that we're just measuring a tiny portion of a spherical universe. We don't know. We don't know until we see, measure, and observe. And even then, even if we were able to observe the entire universe, even if the entire universe was laid bare before our feet, we could still doubt our own experience. Which gets me to my point. We can doubt anything and everything, and a good philosopher or a good spiritual person should. We can doubt the realness, the purpose, and the validity of whatever we want. So to a solipsist, whether we're talking about a Nobel-winning physicist or a flat earther in high school, what we may have is nothing but a bunch of people, a group of people that just aren't extreme enough in their views. From this philosophical perspective, what we can see is that neither go far enough in their doubting. Let's forget about things that we can know directly, independently, or objectively, because either you like the scientific method or you don't. Let's talk about something that science claims little to no domain over, like the nature, the essence, and the quality of the experience of us. Let's take things to the logical extreme so we can see why doubting and skepticism are essential for anyone trying to make sense of this world. And also why it's essential that we know when and where and how to check our doubting and skeptical tendencies. Potentially and likely, the most extreme doubt that any of us can have is the one that questions the nature, the realness, and the validity of our existence and our experience of our existence. It may not be a conspiracy, but intellectually, philosophically, and really even scientifically, we can't know anything for certain except for maybe that we exist in some fashion, in some shape, in some way, and in some form. But even that, even the notion of our existence, even the notion of the experience of our existence can't be known to a certainty. This extreme form of doubting may be called insanity, but in philosophical terms, it's simply called solipsism, which only means that we may be the only real thing in existence. I might be the only real being in existence, and everyone and everything else outside of my skin, outside of my mind, is nothing more than a mental process or a happening in consciousness. Essentially, it's saying that we can't know anything directly other than our thoughts and conscious experiences because the world outside of mind is always mediated through something that we would typically call senses. And since the mind-brain mechanism has no connection to the external world without these senses, everything that we do experience is known secondhand. It's not known directly. Because we know it's secondhand, we can't be certain that what we experience actually exists. The world may not exist. Other people may not exist. We may be the only thing in existence. We may be. From this perspective, doubting the validity of space, the realness of gravity, or the validity of a spherical Earth is mild. I don't dismiss any possibilities, not even this, but if we don't draw the line somewhere, we'll be essentially paralyzed with indecision and doubt, and we won't be able to fully enjoy and experience this life that we're so busy trying to figure out, even if it is nothing more than a collective hallucination. I trust no notion and no assertion absolutely, but if we want to experience a shared reality with other people, I think drawing a line in our senses and not doubting our senses is a good place to start. It's a good place to begin giving up some solipsistic ground. That ground giving should logically be extended to the hard sciences, in my opinion, because they are looking at things that we can know directly with our senses. Even though they do mediate our senses with scientific instruments, I think of them nothing more than extensions of our biological senses. And even though I definitely don't believe that the hard sciences are coming anywhere close to truth, that they're anywhere close to revealing all the mysteries of the universe, I still draw the line at dismissing the efforts of the scientific community until I have good reason to do so. And I've had good reason to do so in a number of things, but more than that, when it comes to the assertions and conclusions drawn from the sciences, whenever they put forth any of their claims, I defer to no one. I let them explain to me what they've understood and what they've learned, and then I assimilate that knowledge, that information, into my own worldview. Once again, I defer to scientists about science, not because I trust them implicitly, but simply because it is our best chance as a species of coming to some objective and collective agreement. However, philosophically and spiritually, we should always hold in the back of our mind that we can't be certain about anything, because even our conscious experience could conceivably be simulated, manufactured, or altered. Or it could also be some confluence of matter in some void somewhere. Just look up the term Boltzmann brain if you want to have a mini existential crisis. Or just watch the video I did about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, on the scientifically plausible concept of a Boltzmann brain. At the end of the day, we should either accept science or reject it, but what we can't do is piecemeal it. I mean, we can, but we shouldn't. What we should do is cultivate a broader and deeper understanding of it so that we can doubt better and more effectively and more skillfully whenever we find reason to. And we're going to find plenty of reasons to, because we are talking about humans here, scientists. So if we don't trust authority or power structures, if we believe in grand and concerted conspiracies, the best way to challenge them is to understand why they exist, why they were created, what they're trying to do, and really, more than anything, what may be the truth beyond them. So we can doubt any and everything that we want, but knowing when, how, and where to doubt is really the key and the skill to piecing it all together, to getting a handle on things. Because if we were to take everything, every question, every point of contention and doubt to its logical conclusion, we would spend an entire lifetime and not have answered one single thing to a certainty. We can waste plenty of time and energy questioning things that may ultimately prove to not be that impactful to us in our lives. Or we can waste plenty of time and energy questioning things that we could have settled and resolved long ago if we had only tried. If doubting and skepticism are more than just sport to you, if you're actually trying to piece together a strengthening and meaningful worldview, you're going to have to be smart about how you spend your time and your energy. Now, I'm not saying don't question the topology and geometry of the planet Earth, and I'm not saying don't question the validity of space or the motivations of NASA, but I am saying that if you're trying to get at the real conspiracies, this is where I would begin. First, question the obvious constructs before you question nature and the people probing and investigating nature. And I'm talking about the norms, the laws, the rules, the systems, the customs, and the institutions that govern this world. Exposing the conspiracies there will be easier and more fruitful, and that's where all the real conspiracies lie anyway. Not in nature, but in nurture, in the world that mankind built, not the world that existed long before mankind. So that's pretty much it. And to touch on a point that I made earlier, one of the other places that I would begin piecing together a worldview beyond these conspiracies, these grand and orchestrated and concerted conspiracies, is investigating the nature of me. Like, we're talking about solipsism, so what are you? Why do you experience the way you do? If you can't know anything outside of your mind, what can be trusted? Where do you draw the line? That would be the second place that I would begin. Who am I, what am I, and where am I drawing the line? So if you like this and you thought it was helpful, click the link in the description below and head to my website and sign up for my email newsletter, where I'll be sharing more thoughts like this to that exclusive audience. If not, if you don't want to do that, then hit the subscribe button and you'll get more content right here, right where you're at. So thank you for watching. You have a great day, and keep doubting. Just be smart about it.